What's up, guys? This is Miasin. So today I'm gonna make a quick little video right here on what I personally believe is the best hand trap that you can play right now in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because everybody can play it. It's not like Dimension Shifter where it has to be kind of like a shifter deck that doesn't really utilize his graveyard. Even if you really care about your graveyard, you can still play Retailing C because you can easily shut it down just by linking it off or tribute summoning over it or whatever. There's a lot of ways it can just like not hinder you too much. And it covers so many top tier strategies that I think this card has practically never been this good in Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's also not once per turn, which is unbelievably good and extremely annoying to deal with. And also, it's not like the typical hand traps that have to discard themselves to from the hand to the graveyard to resolve. No. This one, it special summons itself on your own field, just like Nibiru and Bestials. So Call by the Grave cannot take care of that. And usually people are not gonna have this as a cross-out target either. Anyways, before we go into the explanation of any of that, make sure you smash the like and subscribe button. It really motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. And also a huge, massive shout outs to my sponsors, Inspire TCG, as well as Dueling. They got the best deck boxes, play mats, and art cards, so please check them out. Link will be in the description box below, and use the coupon code YASIN656 for 5% off. And with that being said, let's get right into it. Alright, so first things first, what does Retailing C does? Well, first of all, when your opponent activates a spell card, very specifically not a spell card or effect, so in other words, if your opponent activates the effect of Birth, it's not gonna work. That includes an effect that special summons a monster or monsters. Quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if summoned this way, while this card is face up on the field, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead, and if this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can add one Earth Insect with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand, except itself. Obviously, in the OCG, you can search Max C. In the TCG, you can also search the other C monsters like Contact C, which is not too bad, but it's not like super great. And I won't lie, the other search targets are not amazing unless you're playing some deck like I don't know, Battle Wasp or something. But yeah, just how good is Retailing C against, let's say, the Azamina Snake Eye deck, which is anticipated to be in the top 3 best decks of the upcoming format of Rage of the Abyss? Well, I can tell you this right now, Retailing C is remarkable against that deck, like absolutely cracked, way too good, because if they use the Hallowed Azamina, this card, it's worded in a very interesting way. You gotta successfully send a Sinful Spells card from your hand and or field to the graveyard in order to summon the monster that you're revealing. What's gonna happen is that you're gonna be activating the Hallowed Azamina, and you're gonna try to resolve as much as possible when your opponent will chain Retailing C. So you're gonna be banishing that Deception and also banish the Azamina, because again, it really is trying to resolve. You didn't successfully send that Deception to the graveyard, but it was banished instead. It's not even going to be summoning the Mo Arcielago or the Rhea Silvera. So in other words, you go fully neg 2, and probably even more than that, because with Deception, you have to tribute a monster from the hand. With Diabell Star, you have to discard a card. This is like a neg 3 off of one single Retailing C, and your opponent is left with practically nothing, and he is still facing a shifter. This is remarkable, and also you have a body on the field. It's not even like you're going neg 1. You can even brick on too many hand traps, and then let's say you're playing the Fiendsmith engine in your deck, you can normal summon like a hand trap, and then make Moon of the Closed Sky and play from there. The fact that you can make your opponent neg so much off of one single card, and keep playing the game afterwards, is really what makes this card way too good. Now, mathematically speaking, Retailing C has such a high likelihood of being broken against this deck that I think it is even almost correct to main deck it, but I wouldn't. Personally, I would side deck 3 in just about anything, depending on your siding patterns and everything. Obviously, it does depend really on how you are trying to approach things, and also if there are some meta calls where potentially you think that people are going to be playing other decks instead of Retailing C, because obviously this is only good against the decks that are presented here, maybe some other decks. But now the Snake Eye deck, what are the starters for that deck? Well, there is 3 Witch, 3 Wanted, 3 Deception, as well as 1 original Sinful Spell Snake Eye, and 1 Sacred Azamina. Every single one of these cards, they play into Retailing C. The only cards in the Snake Eye deck that can get your stuff going, that do not lose to Retailing C whatsoever, would be Snake Eye Oak when you're trying to send another continuous card, whatever, on the field, Snake Eye Ash, and Bonfire. So we are looking at an absolute maximum of 6 cards, assuming that Oak is a 2 of, out of 17 or something starters, because that's a 3 of, that's a 3 of, that's a 3 of, and that's a 1 to 2 of, 10 or something cards that are completely going to be crippled by Retailing C. It is completely absurd. Now, with that being said, keep in mind that Retailing C, just like Nibiru and Bestials, it can get negated by Caesar. So if your opponent is really smart, he can go into the Fiendsmith engine first, and then go into Caesar, plays around Nibiru, Bestials, and Retailing C, and then go into the Azamina engine. So Retailing C paired with another hand trap like Valor, Imperm, or even Nibiru, this is where you know for a fact that you've won the game. Anyways, now we've got the Memento deck that also loses very hard to Retailing C, I want to say, because they got 2 spell cards that can special summon a monster. Memento Fusion is the first one, and it's also the fact that you're banishing the Memento Fusion. That's honestly huge. It is absolutely insanely annoying. Now, there is a way they can kind of not lose too hard to Retelling Sea. So you activate Memento Fusion, your opponent chains Retelling Sea, you summon the Creation King, the fusion monster that foolishes a bunch of cards from the deck and extra deck to the graveyard. There we go, this card right here. And then you're going to be chaining the Creation King to destroy it and the Retelling Sea while it's on the field. And you're still going to be able to send the 3 cards actually to the graveyard because Retelling Sea now is dead because of the Creation King's effect. So this is something that you can do that I think is very interesting, but you still have to lose your Creation King in the process. You still have to lose the Memento Fusion. And again, paired with another hand trap, this is where it becomes completely unmanageable for your opponent. And also, if you can catch your opponent very early on the Goblin Biker Grand Imprisonment, this can be huge because your opponent is going to be summoning the Memento Goblin, and then under Retelling Sea, Goblin doesn't do anything. What are you going to do? Foolish 2 Memento monsters from your deck to the Banished? Yeah, Retelling Sea, very nice against these 2 cards. Retelling Sea can also be used against other Snake Eyes-like strategies, such as Rescue Ace, because of the emergency, but honestly, if your opponent can still summon Turbulence and set 4, it's not that great. So that's not like a super good argument, but whatever, it's still something that you can do because the Rescue Ace deck can still play the Azamina engine. So you also keep that in mind. It's not going to just cover emergency, it's also going to have the other cards. And also 1-for-1. Yeah, okay, sure, it's an unsearchable random bullshit 1-of. At least it covers even more ground in case they do play it. Now, there's also some other decks like the Melodious deck where they have Ostinato and First Movement Solo, but those are the only spell cards that actually do lose to Retelling Sea. That is literally a lie. They do have Concerto. That actually completely destroys them now that I think about it. I didn't even think of that for some reason. Yeah, so even their Aria, no sorry, the Refrain, it will still play into Concerto. The only real way I can maybe imagine how they can play around it is if they go into the Link first and then play from there. Even then, I think everything bridges into Concerto, so they're still always going to be playing into Retelling Sea one way or another. That hurts a lot because they lose so many resources. This card gets banished, and then all the monsters that he used as a fusion material get banished. Yeah, that's a lot of next because they really want to get back their Pendulum monsters in the scale and then start doing things with them, but they're not going to be able to do that, so they might not be able to Pendulum summon at all. And I think this makes a lot of sense, but Retelling Sea chaining to Ostinato feels really nasty. It's kind of like if your opponent goes a Shuttle Fusion and then you chain Retelling Sea. Yeah, your real advantage is not really the monster that you summon, but rather the cards that you're foolishing to the grave. I guess in Ostinato's case, that's a little different because summoning Baka is still really nice, but still, you're going to be summoning Baka, which then summons Refrain, which then searches a card, but you're still under Retelling Sea. If you're going first and you have to deal with this card, you don't have a battle phase, a major inconvenience. Now, obviously, if you're going second against Retelling Sea, you can just run over it, and then main phase 2, you play the game. This is the reason why Retelling Sea is especially a card that is good when you are going second, and when you as the player is trying to handtrap your opponent when you're going second. There you go. You understand what I'm trying to say. Anyways, against the Rika deck, it's not super great. It's worse than Shifter, obviously, because you can only use it against Sunvine Sowing, and they still have some nice lines. So huge shoutouts to Julius for showing me all that. Anyways, against the Chimera deck, also very good. You use them on Chimera Fusion, and honestly, they lose. It's insane. They completely lose. It's literally that broken because they lose the Chimera Fusion. All their materials do absolutely nothing. And then their Berthamet, whatever king, they're all level 6, but the one that foolishes from deck to grave, that doesn't do anything. So they gotta go into the other Chimera King, whatever, the one that rips a card from your hand. But it's not even the end of the world. You're still completely the winner when you resolve Retelling Sea against that deck. Even against Despia, it's not too bad. So while you have Retelling Sea on the field, even if they summon Mirror Jade, they won't be able to foolish a monster from extra deck to cost in order to banish a card on the field, so you're safe from Mirror Jade. And also, whatever they send is not going to trigger. With that being said, they can still send the Tragedy and then search a Luber, and then a Luber can search something else, so just keep that in mind. And they can still summon something like a Rinbrum, for example, which is still an interruption even under Shifter or Retelling Sea in this case. And also Branded Opening does play into Retelling Sea. Now, the Purely deck also loses a little to Retelling Sea, but not that much because even the Purely deck itself has been known to play Shifter, which is very interesting because sometimes it plays Shifter and sometimes it plays cross out first Shifter. I think it depends on who goes first, who goes second. Rank up Magic Argent Chaos Force. Yeah, obviously this is a card that the Gamic Puppet deck always has to go into in order to play. You're just gonna lose your Argent Chaos Force, and then it's really just the fact that you're DD crowing this card basically. Now some other generic staples, or not even that generic, but whatever. Monster Gate Reasoning, Instant Fusion, some one-ofs, maybe Infernoid, but also Infernoid would be playing these cards. So yeah, there's a lot of overlap, obviously. The Hero deck, when it's gonna come out in Supreme Darkness, a Hero Lives, potentially Fusion Destiny if people play that. Evil Assault, that's a really good one as well. and then some ritual spells like Mute on this Right Shroud or Prayers of the Voiceless Voice. So yeah, a lot of decks that do get crippled by Retang Seam, and a lot of these decks are actually among the top tier decks of the format. Really good against the Snake Eye Azamina deck, really good against Memento, really good against Chimera. This is already reason enough, honestly, to consider Retailing Scene your side deck. It is super insane, and it has shown result in the OCG as well. Nobody is playing it anymore because nobody's playing the Azamina decks because they got completely power cred by Raziel. Anyways, that's all I had for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know how you feel about this card in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.